Welcome to Monster Monday. So this was recommended to me by Teddy Brown and also was backed up by Rebecca Reinhard, who always wants to get her full credit. Okay? So, hi Rebecca. Rebecca's wonderful, everybody. Okay? Hi. You're amazing. Okay, I guess I don't give her enough praise on my channel because I get shit anytime I'm not like, hey, Rebecca, you're fucking wonderful in every imaginable way. We good? All right, moving on with the review. All right, there's nothing out there. So I have been informed that Scream drew some heavy inspiration from this movie. I don't have the exact details on that to say something for sure, but that is what I'm being told by fans of this film who have looked into the trivia behind this movie. Now, Teddy and Rebecca are kind of waiting with bated breath because I had said that I have essentially like a doozy of a review to do on this movie. It was essentially hyperbole what I was saying there, just trying to ruffle their feathers a little bit. I actually really enjoyed the movie. I couldn't tell what the tone of it was for a little bit. I didn't know if the movie was being serious, and it just so happened to be silly. Like, there's a lot of movies like there's late 80s or the 80s in general, or like you don't know if a movie's like genuinely trying to be funny or if it's so bad that you're finding humor within it. And towards the end, for sure, it's blatantly obvious that it's supposed to be a full-blown parody comedy kind of movie. And it is pretty self-aware because of the Randy type character from Scream that is in here. This is where the film would be compared to Scream, is they have a character in here and he's obsessed with horror movies, and every single thing he says is just essentially him saying, well, this is what would happen in a horror movie right now, and we're in a horror movie and there's a monster out there, or there's a serial killer, or if we were in a movie right now, this is what would be happening. I mean, it's literally all the guy talks about. So, all right, so in the opening of this movie, we get a girl who is being killed in a video store in her mind. And the posters up on the wall in the video store are pretty badass, man. They got a lot of great posters everywhere, and VHS box cover art that's just falling off when she's like bumping into the camera. It's all real, like it's all legitimate titles that we're familiar with, and it's just kind of takes you back to the days of the video stores. And then she wakes up from a dream, and then when she wakes from that dream, then she's attacked by the monster. So not really sure why those are connected to the film at all. I guess it's just that's the opening they wanted to go for, but I don't really understand what her dream had to do with the movie, because her character isn't in the movie outside of that. So I don't know, whatever. It's a cool opening sequence, even though it's a dream. And then this is pretty terrible filmmaking in here. So there's a lot of like montage sequences, and there's one in particular about with this car, the car that the main characters are driving in on, and they're showing like these top angled views of the car as it's driving this way and that way and this way and that way, and it's just showing the car, and it just does it over and over and over again. And then there's another one in the school when they're about to get out of class, and then they come out of class and they keep cutting to the kids coming out of their classrooms, and then like an angled shot up towards the sky, and then just like two random frisbees being like lazily lobbed like just past the camera, like someone's shooting like a fake freaking UFO sighting or something. It's hilarious. It's like, that are people playing frisbee right now out in front of the school when they're all trying to run away? Like, hey, let's stop and throw double frisbees at each other. Like, what are the frisbees? Like, And are these supposed to be high school students in this? Is them getting out of high school, or is that, because that is a high school classroom? The kids in this movie are well into their 20s, if not older. So if that's high school, man, this is some of the oldest looking high school students I've ever seen. But man, the chicks in this movie are gorgeous, and there is tons and tons of full-blown gratuitous nudity in this movie, and every single bit of it was welcomed. And I will say, there is a sequence in this movie where the main Randy character, the self-referential horror guru guy, runs into his buddy's girlfriend, and they're, some of the only survivors at this point, and she's wearing this bikini, and he stops in the middle of what he's about to say to her to tell her that she's got a great bikini on, or nice bikini or something. And I have to completely agree with him here. This is one of the most flattering bikinis I've ever seen, ever. So for the style and everything, I can't believe that this is in a I want to say this is late 80s, early 90s. I don't know. There's something about the fit, the cut, the way her body holds it. I mean, the girl's got a perfect body, but there's something about it. I love the bathing, so I just kept looking at it. And I was like, wow, that's a really flattering, attractive bikini that would actually work really well if she took it to the pool today. A lot of these movies are so dated, and you look at the undergarments, and you look at the clothing, and you look at the hair, and you look at all that stuff, and they're all, like glaringly out of place in the modern age, where we are now. And I just thought that this was so stylish and so sexy, and I loved it. So yeah, big fan of that bikini. Just spent like a full minute talking about a girl's bikini. No surprise there. All right, so they get to the house, and the alarm for the house instantly goes off when they open the door. No warning signs, no chance to punch in the number before the alarm goes off. Okay, bullshit. And if that is really a thing, then wow, what a terrible design. So what if you come home late at night, you have kids, the alarm's going to instantly go off as soon as you come in the house. It's not even going to chirp a few times and ask you to disarm it. It's not going to give you a little grace period there to go and punch in the numbers so that it won't go off and wake up people or alert the authorities, or like it instantly goes off the second he opens the door. I've never seen an alarm system like that, and I've dealt with a few of them. And not because I'm a freaking arsonist. No, that's fire. I'm thinking of breaking and entering. A robber, a cat burglar, a burglar. There we go, cat burglar. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Arsonist. I sure as hell don't know what I'm talking about, clearly. But I corrected myself. All right. And yeah, so a bunch of like rockers show up in the guy's backyard, and they start skinny dipping in the pond. And every chick, and I mean literally every chick that's part of the group there's like 4 of them. They're all gorgeous, and 3 of 4 of them are topless, and they all have fantastic bodies. And he comes out there, and he's just so annoyed and is like, get out of here. And not either one of the guys is even miffed, or like they're not even excited. They're not nothing. They're just like, what are you doing here? And you need to leave. And I love the girls' reactions, because in a lot of these movies, when someone shows up who's not supposed to be there because they're skinny dipping with a specific set of people, and that's who they're comfortable with being naked in front of. And when someone who is outside the party shows up, they're always like, oh my God, oh, sorry, we didn't, nothing. These girls are like, whoa, hey, what's up? And you got the scene was just missing Corey Feldman coming in and saying that was quite a pack of patootsies. But this guy is just like, no, the lake or whatever is right over there. Like, can you get off my property? He's acting like some 80-year-old Gran Torino Clint Eastwood, get off my lawn. And it's like, no one would tell naked, hot-ass chicks like that. I don't care if the guy has a girlfriend or whatever. His buddy standing right next to him doesn't have a girlfriend. I would be like, hey, want to check these girls out for a minute? I mean, if people are out in public, naked, throwing themselves around, it's okay to look at their naked bodies. They're putting them out there for you. So I don't think it's perverted to sit there and watch when people are skinny dipping in public. But yeah, just I found that scene to be absolutely ridiculous. Now, of course, this is like a comedy and it's not to be taken seriously. I just was like, wow, this guy is not a typical guy. And these metal kids never come into play again. That was really surprising to me. I was for sure expecting to see them. Unless the girl... Is the girl at the end of this movie who they pick up, the girl in the car in the beginning? I think it might be. I'd have to go back and check. I don't think she's one of the metal chicks. I'm pretty sure she isn't. So I'm pretty sure the blonde that they pick up at the end of this movie and then throw out of the car is the girl in the car. Is that right? Or am I wrong on that? Teddy, Rebecca, let me know. And I'm sure on the second viewing I would be looking for it so I could tell you. Oh, which reminds me, in the Slasher Sunday movie review that I did yesterday, Slade brought it to my attention that was not a little girl in the back of that car, but that was actually the bully, he says. So I'm going to have to go back and rewatch that, but man, that bully looked like a little girl. So, although I guess when you kill a bully, he doesn't look as threatening anymore. All right, so... Now, what's weird about this is I feel like the roles are kind of reversed here, like casting-wise. So the geeky guy, the Randy character of the movie, is played by what I would see as a typical jock-looking type guy. And then there's this nerdy-looking guy, who should play the Randy character, typecasted, but he's actually the dude who's there hitting on and possibly banging the hot foreign chick that's with them. The Anna Maria Mazzarelli of the frickin' group, you know. So I was like, whoa, this is an interesting casting. The geeky guy is the cool guy and vice versa. Interesting choice. That's the way I saw it anyway. But God, I mean, like legitimately every girl in this movie is friggin' hot. And majority of them get naked. This is why Teddy was like, 100% Jason, you're going to like this. Now, that isn't always true. I did review a movie maybe about a year ago for the mother of my kids. She has a couple friends, and they asked me to review this movie called Island of Death, or whatever the hell that movie was called. And it was just gratuitous nudity after gratuitous nudity after gratuitous nudity. And it actually wore me out because there was nothing else going on that was enjoyable to me. And I was like, dude, I could watch porn for this. I mean, if it's just nudity and nothing else, then forget it. So I don't want it to ever seem like, oh, well, Jason saw hot chicks that are naked, so of course he liked it. That is not true. That absolutely elevates the movie, for sure, if the rest of it is interesting and engaging or entertaining or funny or whatever. And this movie just had a lot of charm. It had a lot of funny moments. We're going to get to some of them. And then, so the geeky guy, who's supposed to be the cool guy, is out with the foreign chick. And they are walking, and after they've been warned many times by the Randy character that they're not going to come back, which he was right on one of them anyway. And so the monster comes in and kills the guy instantly. I mean, almost instantly, but then rips the girl's skirt off. So like, they're not even trying to hide the fact that they're trying to show girls in their underwear or trying to show girls' tits or anything. They get like close-up shots in the shower and everything. It's wonderful. But there does seem to be a bit of a reason for why, because there's a later scene in the movie that I laughed out loud for a good like 30 straight seconds because of how absurd I thought it was. And it still is absurd, but then when I found out what was actually happening, I was like, oh, okay, I guess that kind of makes a little more sense for how stupid it is. So one of the girls is being attacked by the creature in this, which kind of looks like one of the Boggins, but it shoots laser vision at her, which at first I thought was actual like Man of Steel, Kal-El, Superman laser vision, and she blocks it with her forearm and it bounces off and deflects, and I was like, did she just bounce lasers off of her arm? I'm pretty sure she doesn't have a reflective surface for that to work. So I laughed out loud. I was like, what the fuck? This girl just blocked lasers with her arms. But then we find out later in the movie that that's like a mind control. I don't know what else. Beams, I guess. They're like light beams that take control of people's minds, almost like the monster in Horror Express when their eyes all go red. Although that's one of my, I think that wasn't my first Monster Monday. No, it wasn't my first Monster Monday. But it is the ending movie in my montage here in the opening. That if you're ever wondering what that is with the glowing eyes and the monster or whatever, that's Horror Express. That's what I'm referencing right now. Anyway. But yeah, I guess it can mind control, and then it does that with some of them, but then it, impregnates others, which I don't think we see actually take place in the movie. I think that they're skeptical of the girl at the end. Maybe she was controlled. But because they know just from the girl that gets possessed here by him or controlled by him, that once it's dead, that control is now broken. So I don't think that that's what they should be worried about at the end of this movie with the girl that gets in the car, because they already know the spell is broken once the creature has perished. So I'm guessing that went more for the impregnation, alien type thing. But I don't think we deal with any of the actual ramifications of what the pregnancy all entails in this film. I like that the foreign girl runs through the woods, which are really well lit, but she runs face first into a tree. We see this in a lot of movies, and I always wonder, if I was running from somebody, if the woods are really dark and the trees were much smaller, thinner, yeah, I think that would be a serious issue. Trying to run as fast as you can, slip and run into a tree, absolutely. So it might seem silly in the moment, but you try running through the woods at dark, in the dark when you're terrified and you can't see anything, you definitely run face first into a tree. The movie makes it lit way more than it is, but it's supposed to be dark. And yeah, I mean, this guy's a total buzzkill in the movie, this Randy character in the film. He just keeps trying to stop everyone from having fun. He just so happens to be right, but, the odds of him actually being right were almost none. And then this movie has such gratuitous nudity that usually in the respectful cut, so what they'll do in a lot of movies, and it's more of a tease cut for me, but sometimes they'll try to go more respectful. They'll actually have a girl undo her bra, and then she'll pull her bra open to reveal the goods. And in that moment, right as she's pulling it apart, it'll cut away. And that's where you get a bunch of guys in the audience like, oh, come on, cheap, tease, whatever. But in this movie, I've never seen this before, one girl undoes her bra and goes to open it, and it cuts to another girl's tits that's having sex in a different sex scene. I laughed out loud because I've never seen that before. I've never seen one girl's tits about to be exposed and then just cutting to another girl's tits. Like, this movie is so hyper aware of its gratuitous nature, and I love that about it. And I love a lot of the humor, and I love a lot of the ridiculousness in this movie. And then, so the guys that don't believe him, they lock him down in the basement after what he's done, and one of the girls says, well, he deserves a small punishment. Locking a guy in a basement of a house that is barely ever lived in, who knows what's down there, And literally, who knows what's down there? Like, she doesn't know if there's a bed. She doesn't know if there's anything for him to sleep on. She doesn't know if there's rats, if there's vermin, if there's, spiders or snakes, or who the fuck knows. They're going to lock this guy down there against his will, which is a form of imprisonment, because he annoyed them with his, incessant ramblings that this horror movie was taking place in the area. Like, locking someone and a grown adult in a room overnight, and it's not even a room, it's a basement, is cruel and extremely uncalled for. Like, this is super wrong. And she's like, a small punishment. And the guy who's kind of protesting against it, because it's like 3 against 1, he's like, we can't do that. And she's like, oh, he deserves a small punishment. And he's like, I guess he'll be okay. And then just walks away. And it's like, you don't think this guy's just going to be banging all night on the door? Like, the fuck out of here. Break through the door or go through one of the windows and just come in the house or whatever. Like, what are they thinking? Anyway. But then he comes down, the dude comes down who was opposed to him being locked down there. And there's like water all over the floor under there. And he opens it up and he's just like, what the hell happened down here? Like, you give a shit. You left him down there, Deal with the consequences of that. Cause and effect, motherfucker. And so, because he's ruining people's time and whatever, before that, before that, he gets into a fight with one of the guys there, and the fight is hilarious. I mean, I was laughing pretty much the entire fight. The dude jumps over him like 10 feet in the air, so exaggerative how far he leaps over his body. And then they're like rolling on this cart together towards the stairs, and like he pushes them off, but it's supposed to be thrilling and whatnot, and then it just kind of isn't. Probably one of the most self-referential moments where even if you were on the fence at any point, like, no, I think they're kind of trying to be more serious with this movie, it goes full on, like, scary movie slapstick parody for like 2 seconds, where the boom mic comes into frame. And at first I was thinking, oh man, that's a really bad mess up. That's like Sean Penn Bad Boys mess up kind of shit here, which I think has the biggest glaring issue ever in film that I've ever noticed. I've never seen a mess up that bad in a film. But I was like, holy shit, like, that's bad. And then he grabs onto it, and the Indiana Jones theme music plays, and he swings over the monster using the boom mic as his, his bar. I was like, oh wow, okay, this movie's not even trying to even be semi-realistic. But throughout the film, they keep asking, what do you think, we're in a horror movie? And he's like, maybe. And they are. I mean, we find out that they actually are. And just like in Scary Movie, oh no, everything's a movie. And she's like, this isn't a movie. He's like, yeah, it is. There's a prop guy. There's this, a boom mic operator, whatever. And there's like an actual, they cut to them all out there sitting there. Anyway, I love Scary Movie. I always thought that movie was hilarious when I first saw it. And we already went through all of that. I like that when they're out there and they're being chased by the monster, he takes the tentacles and he actually like ties them around the tree so that thing's stuck there. The face melting scene is really, really cool. It's not like on par with something like Poltergeist or anything, but it's still pretty damn good, especially for the budget of the movie. I really liked that a lot. Oh my god, one of the worst fake out scares I've ever seen in a movie, but because it's supposed to be a parody and supposed to be funny, it actually landed because of how stupid it was. So what do I hate more than anything with fake scares? Cats, right? Okay, this one, there is a fake cat scare in this movie, but there is another one I couldn't even believe when I saw it, and I laughed. There is a fake out map scare. Yes, a map. A road map. So in the back seat, he opens up the window, and this thing starts coming up from the back. It's a POV shot, so it's supposed to look like the monster's in the back seat, and he's about to come to him, and it's just the map in the back seat hitting him in the face as it's trying to rush out the window because of the pressure that's been created in the car, whatever. That map hits him in the face. I was like, fucking road map? A fake out road map jump scare? Holy hell, man. I've seen it all now. And then the main the main detractant that's used against the monster in this movie. Is it bullets? Is it holy water? Is it a cross? Is it some chemical composition that they came up with? Is it, something that they read in a book of lore against the creature, any of that stuff? Nope. No, none of that stuff. It's shaving cream. So this monster's kryptonite seems to be shaving cream, and it's used a lot. It's used a good amount throughout this. He sprays it in its mouth, and it wards it off, and I guess he just sticks to that tactic. I'm just going to continue to keep using shaving cream, and it even goes to the length of spraying it through a keyhole in the door that just so happens to hit the monster as it's coming towards him. Hilarious. Shaving cream. Holy hell. And then the glass decapitation. Now, the girl's got to feel pretty bad about this later once she finds out that the monster being defeated was to break the spell on her friend who she decapitated, or was at least a party to the decapitation from the window pane falling down and lobbing her head off. Like the death in Ghost. Yeah, the Patrick Swayze Demi Moore movie, with Whoopi Goldberg when they make out. Yikes. Just the glass coming down, boom, takes her head right off and it comes out. It's a great decap scene. Would a window pane have enough force and enough power to be able to lop someone's head off? No way. Not from that height. I mean, could you make it happen from certain things? Yeah, probably. But actually, the best glass decapitation scene would have to be in The Omen. Yeah, 1976, right? Yeah, that's the premier glass decapitation scene. And supposedly the guy who made that effect, his wife was decapitated in a car accident. So, yeah, a lot of shit happened on that movie. And yeah, we already talked about that. I like how he throws the cat right before he swings on the boom mic. He throws the cat at it, and the cat just kind of lands there and just runs off. It really does absolutely nothing. And then when it's shooting its laser vision at the guy, he throws on sunglasses, which are like polarized and reflective, and he like aims and banks them off of the side mirror to the car, which then banks back into the monster that's on the hood, and it throws the monster off. So it does have enough power and enough force to pick a monster up and throw it off the car. So, or I guess it distracted him long enough that he wasn't holding on to it, but he actually looks like he's lifted up off the car, but she just blocks it with her forearm. So I don't know. This is one weird ass looking monster, man. It does not look threatening at all. But it has kind of like acid blood, like a xenomorph. I don't know. And it only uses it on men because it only has room in its life for women. I understand this monster a little better than I thought I might have. And then, yeah, they get away after the monster's defeated, and then they're in the car pretty much making jokes not 2 minutes later, even after all of their friends had just died. And they know that if they could have just held their friend down and kept her incapacitated long enough, that her life would have been spared by the slaying of the beast. So I would feel like she would have some kind of regret or something, but no, yeah, they're fine. And then they pick up a girl and they kick her out of the car because she has green eyes. It's like the anti-David Lopan, man. They are against girls with green eyes. Chinese girls do not come with green eyes. All right, guys. Anyway, that's that. There's nothing out there. It is on Amazon Prime if you want to check it out. I do recommend it if you're into silly ass horror comedies that are pretty self-referential, almost parodies of the genre. Now, I don't like Scream. You guys know that. I much prefer this movie. Oh my God, there you go. People are triggered now. How dare he like this movie more than the masterpiece that is Scream? I don't like Scream. You guys know that. So that's not a high bar. But this is low brow humor. So high bars and low brows. All right, guys. I'm going to go play Apex Legends. Adios and good night.